back to An American Homestead, podcasting live from deep within the Ozark Mountains at an elevation of 2,200 feet. It's 9 p.m. Central and 10 Eastern, and it's good to be back. I want to give a big shout out to the Homestead Network and all the people who are helping us to put this show on and giving us a platform to do it with. And if you want to see some more of these great homesteads, we just got done listening to Big Bear Homestead and Deep South. We'll talk about some of what they were talking about earlier. And if you're interested in finding more about these great homesteads and others, you can go to thehomesteadnetwork.com and go to their show times, and they'll give you an entire listing of all of the great homesteads where you can just go through almost any time during the week and listen to their shows, their live podcasts, just like this one. So why don't you go check that out? Thehomesteadnetwork.com and to show times. So it's good to be back, and got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. We have some guests with us in studio. When I mean in studio, I mean in our kitchen by lantern light. But we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. What did we do this week? Jamie's here with me, folks.
Well, I'm getting ready for the in-laws to come. So That's been on my mind this week.
The in-laws are coming. The in-laws are coming. The in-laws are coming. My parents are arriving tomorrow and staying for how many days?
4 days this time.
So 4 days.
They won't listen to this, so I'm not worried about talking to them or about them. No, seriously, I love Zach's parents. They are amazing people, and they shower love on us and our kids, which is always great. And so I have no complaints. But it's been interesting since we moved off grid that the first couple of years, they did not want to visit us at all. Well, no, that's not true. They wanted to visit us. They just didn't want to stay with us. And so they stayed in a nice hotel about an hour and a half away.
Well, is Eureka Springs?
It's an hour and a half
okay.
at least.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe not quite 2, but still an hour and a half away. So that was the hotel that they wanted to stay in. So that was fine. That was what they were comfortable with. But it got old, driving back and forth. And honestly, they just wanted to spend time with their grandkids. So the last year, we offered them to stay in the house, and we even gave them our bed to sleep in. And they experienced our bucket shower
and humanure bucket.
And humanure bucket, living without electricity, which was really all brand new to them, but they did very well. And so this year they're coming to stay for 4 days.
So it's getting longer.
It's getting longer.
Next year they'll be here for a week.
I don't know. Not that long.
But I grew up going camping in the Rockies, primitive camping. We weren't going in a trailer or anything. I grew up primitive camping with my parents in the Rockies and in the Appalachian Mountains.
Facilities, right? Did you have facilities?
Well, it was a campground, so
it was campground, so
right.
It wasn't primitive camping.
Well, there was you could walk to the camp showers, but it was still full of bugs
they had
and
running water. They had camp showers.
I know, but you were still sleeping on the ground.
It's not primitive camping if you can go get a shower.
But you're sleeping on the floor in a tent.
But still.
Okay, so I grew up doing that, and when we moved out here, we're in a house, and we have all the things we have, and I think it's pretty convenient. I think it's pretty. I think we're living in luxury compared to most third world,
I think our
people.
setup is pretty good.
Yeah.
It works for us.
So, it is what it is. But anyway, so they're coming, and it's going to be interesting to see them and visit with them again. Just real quick, be sure I put these in the show notes. So I'm going over to the show notes as we're talking here. Give us a give us a thumbs up on the video. If you enjoy us doing these podcasts, we really enjoy your feedback. So go ahead, please, give us a thumbs up and a like. I was listening to Big Bear Homestead before we started in with ours, and I always tune in a little bit early, and I lurk around and listen while I'm doing other things. And he says he's trapping a bobcat. I've never trapped a bobcat. But we do have all kinds of people all around our homestead in the last few weeks who have sighted mountain lions or mountain lion sign. Normally we're in drought conditions right now, which brings me to Deep South Homestead was talking about they're in drought conditions down there. I've heard, parts of Alabama, Mississippi, they're really struggling right now with water. And we haven't really had rain in about 2 months, a good rain in about 2 months. And so we're kind of approaching that as well. Although I don't think we're as dry as Deep South is and some of these other places down there are. Either way, normally this time of year it's raining a lot, and there is mountain lion sign all over the place. Usually in the fall, right about now, and you see the prints, and there are obvious cat prints, large cat prints in different places around the homestead. Just 2 weeks ago, our neighbor had his game cam up, and he spotted what was a mountain lion cub on his game cam. And they took it to a taxidermist, and they confirmed it was a mountain lion cub. And where there's a mountain lion cub, there's a mountain lion mama. So it's every year. 2 years before that, they had one of their small horses that gave birth, a small horse, and it was killed by a mountain lion. So it's just things like that. They're here, and I've never trapped bobcat. Never got into that really, but I don't know how I would trap a mountain lion. I don't know if I would want to. I don't know if a trap that I have would hold a mountain lion or not. But anyway, I was thinking about that when I was listening to their broadcast. What did we do since the last time we were on?
You always ask me that.
I know, but you gotta have an answer.
I can't remember.
But there's lots of things. So I wrote down things. I always write down things,
Okay, good.
every week. So I think you're gonna be starting sourdough again.
Oh yeah, that's right. We made a deal.
So
Zach loves my sourdough bread.
I love her sourdough bread.
I'm really not a big baker. I don't really enjoy baking that much.
Her mom is the baker.
My mom loves baking, but she hates making sourdough bread. She won't do it. So, but Zach loves sourdough, and I do too. The boys, I don't know. The boys, they just prefer regular store-bought yeast bread. Grandma makes yeast bread, so at least it's not store-bought. But we made a deal. Yeah. What was the deal? The deal. All right. So here's the deal. I like ramen noodles. I know that's crazy coming from us. I think that is too. It's not a good enough word. I like ramen noodles a lot. No, I would be like, you love ramen noodles. I like ramen noodles. I don't say I love them, but yeah, I like ramen noodles. I think that you're addicted to ramen noodles. And I've been that way since I was in the military. He's always loved ramen noodles. Ever since I was in the military, I've been eating ramen noodles. And, I always tell people I make ramen noodles the healthy way. And I didn't always do it. Now, she kind of groans when I say that, because here's how I make ramen noodles. Because I won't eat them. She won't eat, though. Because they're really empty carbs. They're not healthy for you, any way you look at it. But the way I make ramen noodles, it's at least a little bit healthier. First off, when you open the ramen noodle pack, you throw the spice packet away because it contains all the MSG and all the chemicals and nonsense you don't want to eat. So you get rid of that packet. And then what you do is we have our own spice blend that she makes from scratch. It's the Emerald's Essence. It's garlic powder, salt. It's a lot of different spices, yeah, but yeah, it's something that he likes. I really, and she gets the spices in bulk from the Mennonite Pantry that's not far from our house. And so we make our own spice blend that goes into the ramen noodles, and then I cut up onions, raw garlic, different, sometimes usually peppers, things like that from the garden, and I put all that in with the ramen noodles, and then I boiled the ramen noodles because the last thing you need to get rid of is the TBHQ that's been spray painted on the outside of the noodles to preserve it. And if you boil it and then pour off the water, because most people eat the ramen noodles as soup, I don't do that. So what I do is I pour off the water, which gets rid of the TBHQ, thus making healthy ramen noodles. At least that's my way to rationalize it. Yeah, that's a big rationalization. So, here's the thing also. Zach makes his own lunch every day. And you guys, that's really huge for me because I'm not going to make lunch. I don't make lunch. A lot of times for the boys, like today. They had peanuts, and I opened a jar of my canned peaches, and they had some crackers. That was their lunch. And they're happy with that. And I think that's a pretty healthy lunch. It was pretty good, and they liked it. So I don't make lunch. I don't have time to make lunch. I'm not making 3 full meals a day. I'm just not going to do that. So Zach makes his own lunch.
A lot of times it's like salsa and chips.
Oh, yeah. He,
our
he
salsa that we
opens a
get.
jar of salsa.
She makes, usually about 100 jars of salsa every year from the garden. Tomatoes, peppers, all kinds of different things. That can be a meal in itself right there for me.
And then I eat leftovers from the night before. Nobody else wants to eat the leftovers.
Because I come in,
do.
I'm out working. I come in, I eat my lunch, and then I go back out.
But he makes his own lunch. I mean, come on, ladies. Like, that's a big deal, right? If your husband is home. Okay, so I've kind of just let it go. He's making his own lunch. He's making ramen. I'm just going to turn a blind eye. I'm not going to care. But anyway, so we made this deal. And the deal is if I make sourdough bread, then he will give up ramen.
Forever.
Forever?
Well, if you keep making sourdough.
Anyway, so making sourdough bread is something I have to fit into my day now. But it's okay. It's not that time consuming.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess we're going to be doing sourdough again. So that means we'll do more in-depth video, I guess.
Yeah, we need to do a video on the starter, how we're keeping it, people are always asking about sourdough videos.
I know you guys really, really, really want sourdough videos. We've heard over and over and over, but I guess I just really haven't had the incentive to do it.
Here you go.
I don't eat bread anymore, so this is all for Zach.
Woohoo! This week, I also worked on the garden this week. I'm putting down layers. It's time to get the guys to work on, the time to work on your garden is right now in fall. And I don't know about where you guys are at, but where we're at right now, it's pretty warm. And so it's a great time to work on your garden. And so I basically am mowing down the garden, getting all the weeds mowed down, anything that's growing in there, killing it with a mower or a weed whacker or whatever, putting down cardboard, putting down mulch, putting down compost, putting down everything we have saved up, manures, and topping it off with about 3 to 4 inches of wood chips. And so we're doing that this week and making video, filming it all. We did that last week. We're going to be doing some more this week and filming it all so that we can do a video on it for you guys, just to show you what we're doing exactly for our garden, because I think last year we had a really spectacular garden, and every year it gets better and better. And I mean, our entire arbor is just so full right now of achachas. It's amazing to walk out there. Also one of the things we're doing this year that's completely new is we're putting down wine cap mushrooms. You can go to different places online, buy the wine cap mushroom mycelium, and then put that down over cardboard in your garden, and then cover it with wood chips or whatever type of layering you're going to do. And next year in the spring and in the fall, you're going to have wine cap mushrooms when the humidity hits a certain point. And it's raining, and that's just an additional food source that will grow right up amongst all your produce. We love mushrooms. We love sautéed mushrooms. It's a big hit in our house. So
yeah, the boys love them too.
So we're not only are we growing shiitakes now, we're growing the wine caps, and they're both very flavorful, easy to grow mushrooms that you can do. And so check that out, wine cap mushrooms. We'll do a video on it. I'm filming it all, so it's coming out at some point here soon. Also, I worked on a hydraulic pump for the sawmill, and I'm trying to get the sawmill back up and running this week, and get you some footage for that. There's a hydraulic pump I needed to switch out, which I did, and get some new bolts for some brackets we got fixed and welded. So that should hopefully be going and getting up and running this week. I have a whole bunch of white oak logs down there stacked up, ready to go on the mill. That it's going to be coming up soon. And one other thing, I got the game camera out. Put that out yesterday, and I got the feeder going, the deer feeder. If you remember our easy-to-build deer feeder, $20. You can build easy $20 deer feeder you can build from your local hardware store. And the game camera is out, so we're going to see what's going on. Maybe I'll get a picture of this mountain lion that's roaming around everyone's talking about. But definitely some good deer. that are out there. My neighbors have lots of pictures of their deer on their game cams, so I'm looking forward. But folks, it's just still too warm to hunt. It's gotta be cold. I gotta have cold weather before I can get in the deer stand. I just can't. I can't stand getting up there and swatting at mosquitoes. It just boils my blood. So I'm waiting for it to get cold, and then I will start hunting. And even though the rut's starting soon, I know maybe some of you hunters out there are maybe itching for some new hunting videos. We're going to be doing some hunting videos coming up here shortly on the Homestead that I think you're going to enjoy, including why I believe we can stop chronic wasting disease. It's a big thing this year because our county, it's been in our state and other states have been hit really hard with the deer population on chronic wasting disease, and I really, truly believe I know the answer to this. And we'll go into videos of why I believe we can beat this thing, but it's not going to be popular. I'm just telling you right now. But we'll save it for a future time. We'll probably talk about it next week because it's something that we can talk about in detail. And as sheep and former goat owners, I know a little bit about this, which I think is affecting this. But we'll talk about it next week. And then videos coming out later. People asked about the Toyota. I fixed the Toyota. We had to put a new clutch slave cylinder in there, and we did that. All good. And it's up and running. The only problem was after I put the slave cylinder in there, I went to go start the truck, and it didn't start because the battery died. Because the last time we checked it, after the slave cylinder went out, someone left the key in the on position, and the battery died. So,
whose fault was that?
Probably me. So, and of course, next week when we come back and on this channel, we'll have a new president.
That's the plan, I guess, right?
Yeah, if we don't, the country doesn't erupt in civil war before then. But we'll be getting a new president, but by the time we do our next show. So next time you come on here, it'll be President Trump or President-elect Hillary, one of the two. That's kind of what we're doing.
Oh yeah, we got a new pitcher pump in the house.
Oh,
we didn't talk about that.
Oh, so talk about that.
Well, our pump that we've had in videos and pictures before was really leaking. We had some problems with the seal around our counter. So we had to pull that out because we had some water damage under our Formica. I think we talked about this last week. Did we talk about this last? I don't remember. Anyway, so the new pump is here.
No, we didn't talk about this last week. I don't think so.
I thought we did.
Okay. No, I don't remember talking about that. So go ahead and tell about the pump.
Anyway, the new pump is here. It's an Amish-made pump. It's beautiful. It's really pretty. It has a copper base and it's red like the other one. But we got it because the faucet or spout sticks out so that it'll get water into the sink instead of down on the counter. So that's good. We're just playing with it. We're learning how it works because every pump is different.
The biggest thing I think, remember before, it was even if the spout did go out, it was still leaking water. Sometimes it was splashing up out the top.
Yeah, it would leak water out the top because you'd get to pumping and the water would shoot out the top of it.
And because our counter is some type of particle board wood.
It's Formica.
Okay.
It's a laminate countertop over particle board.
Okay. If the water gets in there, it'll mold.
And the water did get in.
Yeah. So we had to do something.
We had to pull it out. So I was without water inside for about a month. Anyway, so
I really like that pump, the old pump.
I know you liked the old one.
And then we got another one that was green, and that was even worse.
We talked about this. I know we talked about this before.
Did we?
Because we talked about how we hated that other pump.
Okay.
Anyway, so
we
can't remember anything.
We got the new one in
from week to week.
The new one's in though. The new one's in. It looks really interesting. And
that means he doesn't like it.
It's just we'll take a picture of it and show you. We're gonna do a video coming up soon, with her showing it off. And I don't think you know if you like it yet, do you?
I like that it's not getting water all over the counter.
Okay. Well, It remains to be seen.
It has some issues, and I'm still waiting to see if we can work those issues out.
Okay. The question has been asked. I am not really paying attention. I usually don't pay attention to the chat room the first few minutes of the broadcast because I'm still going through all my list of things I want to get through with Jamie. But people have asked in the past, too, and I keep forgetting to address this, how do we listen to the podcast? Is there a way to listen to these later? Because some people are on the East Coast, and they're like, Zach, the show starts too late. It's like 10 o'clock. I got to go to bed because I have to go to work tomorrow and all that jazz. So if you want to listen to this, the best way to do this is to just go to your browser, go to our video, and then type in, replace the HTTPS : // with SS. So it's this simple. Just go to SS, no dot, SS, youtube.com, and then our video, whatever is left over for the video. And it automatically opens up a browser to bring you to a place where you can download an MP3 of what you're listening to. So that is the best way to download our podcast. In many browsers like Chrome and Firefox have different add-ons and extensions that will allow you to download YouTube videos as an MP3. There's plenty of them out there. So if you guys want to listen to our show as an MP3, that is available. You just look for different extensions for your browser to download the YouTube videos in that MP3 format. Or you can just go to ssyoutube.com / whatever is the address for the video you're listening to, and it'll automatically open up into a downloadable format for that MP3.
So if you got that, you're way more tech savvy than me, because I have no idea.
Okay, it's hard. Just I know, life is rough. Just go to YouTube and say, how do I download an MP3 of a video? And just type out the question, and then they'll give you the answer. And you'll figure it out.
But that's what I have you for.
Yeah, I know. But people out there don't have me. So, just go to YouTube. How do I download a YouTube video MP3? And it'll tell you how to do it. Because people are asking, how do I download your podcast? There you go. That's it. So one other thing we did, one more thing before we get to our guests who are here. One more thing is our beehives. We are giving away, we did the announcement of the beehive giveaway this last week for our patrons. Now, we're giving away two they're nice beehives. They're a friend of ours, one of the patrons actually, is building these beehives exclusively for an American homestead. Amazing craftsmanship, really good work. We did a video on the YouTube channel this week of these, and Jamie I just put a video up where you can see Jamie's holding up. We're launching the giveaway for our patrons. All you have to be is a patron, a $10 patron. If you are interested in supporting our show or supporting our channel, any of our $10 or $20 patrons are going to be eligible for this giveaway. And other giveaways coming up after that. Plus, any $10 patron gets their name mentioned in the credits to our videos because, we've said before, you guys are the executive producers of our show. And so we really appreciate, all your support. So I wanted to throw that out there. If you're interested in supporting us, go to patreon.com/AnAmericanHomestead, and it'll show you how to sign up. And you'll be eligible to win as long as you sign up before December 1st for these amazing beehives. And they come with a lot of, the trays. Some of them, I'm going to divide the trays up so that each one gets about half the trays that they're going to need for each beehive. You'll be well on your way to starting your own hive. So with that out of the way, one other thing. T-shirts. So I told the patrons about this stuff. These are the T-shirts we designed coming up to sell to anybody who wants them. I just thought they'd be cool. And it says, I'd rather be on, they're basically going to say, I'd rather be on the Homestead on the back. So American Homestead logo on the front. I'd rather be on the Homestead on the back. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah.
Are they going to be black?
I think so. I was debating on brown and a couple other colors, but the guy at the shop says black is always the best seller.
Yeah, you have a lot of black T-shirts.
Yeah. I like white, but white gets so dirty.
I like black
Yeah,
'cause
you have to wash them.
I'll wash them, but I'm not going to scrub them.
So anyway, that's coming up here soon. Let me introduce you to our guest. We have the Woodson family. Please welcome the Woodson family. I'm going to change some settings on the microphone here so we can get them in on the conversation. And this is Philip and Gina Woodson, and they are from
Beaumont, Texas.
Beaumont, Texas. And the question is, the title of this show this week is, why do you want to be a homesteader? And they are looking for land in our area and checking out some different places because they want to start their own homestead. And so I guess my question is, why do you want to be a homesteader?
Well, there are several reasons. We had some good people to follow after, of course. I've been working a real job, I guess. I say real job, just a job in the city most of my life, and never really experienced homesteading until we met you guys.
Uh-huh.
And
We knew it was possible, but we didn't have anything to model it after.
yeah,
Right.
and we want to simplify things. Get away from some of the things that you put up with in the city and things that are affecting your life, and get out and simplify in the country a little bit. Maybe grow gardens. Maybe get off grid if possible. I don't know what all we'll experience, but we want to try it all and get to where we can be self-sufficient.
Now you guys are living in a trailer now. You were living in a house in Beaumont. You sold. Are you guys originally from Beaumont?
No, we're originally from Arkansas.
Okay.
We're originally from Arkansas. We moved to Texas 3 years ago. And
We bought some land there in Beaumont and had a couple acres of land and a nice home, and we noticed that we were just surviving. We were not thriving, and we just got to talking one day. We believe the Father wants us to live our life in a way that honors Him, and just surviving doesn't do anything for any kind of a witness. So I looked at him one day and I said, I think I'm going to try to sell our house. And he just kind of laughed and said, okay, go ahead. He didn't think I could do it. And I had it sold in 3 days.
And that's that's the house you were at before, and then
Yes.
you moved into a trailer.
yes, we bought a fifth wheel with some of the proceeds from the sale of the house, and found a place that we could park the fifth wheel on for a little of nothing. Some friends of ours there rented us a spot, and that's where we live now. We're living in the fifth wheel. So we're kind of mobile already and can be ready to move when we find the perfect place. And we want to move to the Ozarks because it is beautiful here. This is one of the most beautiful areas that you'll ever be able to visit. And we've grown to love you guys and other people that are here, and we feel like this is family and where we need to be.
Well, it's rural, and
And
we
it's
wanted
rural,
to be out of the
definitely.
cities, and it's still close enough to our families that we're not too far
Right.
away.
But it's important. I mean, you said something I wanted to expand on. So it's away from the cities, and that's important to you guys. Why?
Well, I mean, everybody's in the rat race in the cities, and you can get so consumed by things that you allow in your life. And being in the city, there's just so much chaos to me. I mean, there's so many things to do in the city that take you away from family, and family is key. And when you're out in the country, when you're homesteading and you're with your family all the time, rather than being tied to a job which takes you away from your family.
Yeah, right now it's me and the kids, and Philip has to go to his job and work, and we really would like to incorporate the Father's way of living back. We want the family to be together, and I don't think that's backwards at all. I think a lot of people think that that's wrong. You can't really just live off the land anymore. But I think they're wrong. I think that that God gave us the ability to live off the land, to be self-sufficient, and to thrive, not just survive. And getting away that rat race, when you're doing it for someone else, you'll never get ahead.
Right.
And when you look at the examples set by other people who are doing it, you don't have to make the mistakes. You can learn from other people's mistakes in homesteading and try to do the things that works whenever you
Their
do get the
successes
opportunity.
can also be shared as your successes.
Right.
So.
So tell me, I mean, this is one of the big questions is, okay, you guys want to leave the city and get out somewhere more remote. How are you going to make a living? What do you do? Because, when people say, why do you want to be a homesteader, or how do you want to be a homesteader even, that the answer to those questions will be different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think the key for us is the type of work I do is in IT. I'm a programmer. I work with computers. And most of the time, the requirement is I have to work on site for a company. Mm-hmm. I would like to get more into my own business and become more my own boss. And I've been wanting to do that for a while anyway. We've kind of started down that path already, and it seems to be working out. So that's the goal for me, is to be my own boss. That also helps you become, be able to, if I need to go home, I can go home. If I want to work from home that day, the ultimate job for me would be a job where I could work from home. Mm-hmm. Of course, that would fit in great with homesteading. Mm-hmm. I would like to get to the point where we could make money off of our homestead and not have to work at all. But that doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes you have to have a job. Some people would even have to go to the city to work. Mm-hmm. But just living and getting started in the homestead life is a start for us. Being able to get some land, park our camper on it, and just start to build from there. I think the rewarding part, and you guys can testify to this fact, the rewarding part is living your life your way, building your life from the ground up. You start with nothing and you grow into something. It's a little more rewarding than working a 9-to-5 job.
What you have is
feel
yours.
like it's a dead end and you're going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no rewards to that for me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for us too. I mean, if this land was untouched when we got our land, and if it had been touched or manicured, or if there was a house on it, we wouldn't have been able to afford what we got. It was just because it was raw. It had never been lived, at least hasn't been lived on since the 1800s, and so it was. That's why it was so cheap. But it's always different for every person, and what you're going to find, and it depends on what their needs are.
Right.
So tell me what your needs are. What is it you're looking for in land? You've been shopping around. You have an appointment with a realtor tomorrow morning. That's why you're here tonight, so you can meet up with him. So what are your needs that you're trying to find out there to meet?
I think for us, of course, Gina works with horses. That's been her passion for most of her life.
She works with horses. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. And she wants to get back into working with horses, and we would like to maybe raise some cattle. I know that some of the land we've looked at so far has got pasture land. You can raise cattle here. I don't want to have a big ranch, but just enough to be self-sustainable. Have chickens, maybe milk cows, who knows? Just there's a lot of possibilities that you can start with once you get your land, and you've either got it cleared or you've got woods that you can use to cut down to build a house.
That's one reason we went ahead and, when we sold our house, decided to go ahead and buy an RV, because that would give us the ability, if we did find land, to have a place to live in our RV wherever it was, and we could build our house as we were able to, and hence still have a place to live. And like you said, you developed your land, and we know that we'll probably have to develop land wherever we find it as well.
We started living in our RV 4 years ago this month. And at that time, I had never heard of anyone else doing that.
It's definitely a change. Yeah, it's an adjustment that you have to go through.
I'd heard of people traveling in their RVs and living in their RVs in an extended period of time, but always plugging into an RV park or where they were going. I had never heard of anyone living in an RV for the purpose of building on their land. Mm-hmm. But maybe I didn't research it enough. But anyway, ever since we've done this, there's so many. There's so many examples I can think of.
Well, and we still have that step to go, because right now we're plugged into the grid with our RV. We've got, electricity and running water and sewer. So that's still a step that we've got to make once we find the land that we want, is to now come to this land, park our RV, and with the possibility there's no electricity.
We have a generator.
No running water. We want to be able to sustain ourselves with what we have. So we want to find a place that can provide. I'm not as necessarily worried about electricity as I am just being able to have running water and knowing what to do sewer-wise. There's
We
choices.
moved into our, I don't know if I ever told you this, but we moved into our RV. It was a, 20-foot trailer, something like that. Anyway, I had no clue that I was going to be carrying water.
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue. You remember this?
Uh-huh, yeah.
We thought that we could just get our tanks filled somehow, magically. I don't know. And then we'd be able to turn on our faucets. But how are we going to turn our faucets when we didn't even have any power to run the water
Right.
pump?
And see, that's
Looking into
considerations.
some
that-
solar panels to keep our batteries
but
charged
we didn't
too.
have any of that, and we had a solar panel, but we had no knowledge to hook it up. We had no one
Yeah, we
that
had a
knew
couple,
what to do.
we had a couple small solar panels, and we thought, oh, this will be enough. We'll be able to do everything we need to do with this.
Yeah,
And
I mean, Zach's out there pulling his solar panels out of the box. I've got this. But, we had no one with any solar knowledge to run to and say help.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just a lot of stuff. But we ended up carrying water. We carried water for 3 years.
That's why we want to learn from the pioneers,
Yeah.
the ones who have done it. And
it's you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, like sometimes if it's gonna require me to do this, then that's what I'll do. I'll have to. Real quick break. We'll be right back in just a second. All right, I was just checking to see, I'm trying to fix, I know some of you guys are experiencing some lagging issues and the audio is going in and out, and I don't know why. So I was just trying to see if I could figure that out. Going back to water. It's the most important thing your homestead is going to have. And you've got to make sure you have it. So people are asking, what do I need to look for when I find a homestead? And water is paramount. It's got to be water. And if it means, hauling water by hand to get out and get started on it before you can eventually build up the infrastructure to get to where we're at today, I mean, I would do it all over again if I had to.
Yeah.
But, I mean, because it got us that freedom that we wouldn't have. I mean, you can come into any place with a whole bag full of money and spend a ton of money. We could have had a water line brought up here, and, I mean, it was astronomical. To get running water up here would have meant $800 hookup at the property line, then running a 6-inch main up the mountain, which we'd have to pay for, and then they're not going to do that unless it's at a place that has electricity. Well, before the electricity will come here and do that, they have to have a septic put in. Well, a septic would run anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, and then electricity would come in, but then they have to take off an easement off your land,
yes.
and so you lose some land, and you're paying for whatever construction or whatever they hook up they have to do. It was going to be when you added it all together, it was very, very expensive.
They don't make it easy for you to be a homesteader.
No. So it was very cool. We're like, okay, we can do this. We're just going to go. We're going to basically break all the rules, and electricity is overrated. Running water is overrated. We're just going to do it. As long as there's water here at the homestead, which there is, we can make it work.
Hey, because we were used to living in the trailer without any of those things, so it was no big deal for us to reach that decision.
Yeah. But so I mean, you guys are looking for a homestead. I mean, the water is the biggest thing you have to find, to be.
Right. One of the things I really, meeting you guys, getting to know you, and seeing how you got your homestead.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I really like is the system that you put together for catching rainwater.
Yeah.
To me that's, and I know you're not getting enough rain right now, and that is sporadic sometimes, but it is a good solution to catching and storing up water without having to do a lot of work once you've got your system in place.
The problem is that we weren't able to do that in the beginning because we didn't have the roofs to do it, and the structure in place, and so that takes time.
Takes time, yes. Yes, and I know that in searching for the land, we have to be sure we find something with a well, and that's one of the things we're trying to make sure of.
So, tell me a little about what your homestead's going to look like. What do you have in mind? What's your dream homestead?
Well, I'll tell you what the dream homestead is, and Gina can tell me if I'm wrong, but she wants to build, our basic concept of trying to build something, to live in on the homestead is just a metal building.
Uh-huh.
And inside that metal building, a barn on the lower section and a house on the upper section.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Mm-hmm. Nothing fancy, nothing, big or anything. But from that point going forward, just a place to have horses and cattle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If we can get to that point and sustain ourselves on what we have, I think that's. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, honey, but I think that's our goal, just to be able to take care of ourselves on our property.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what kind of horses do you like? Do you want to have?
For 13 years, that's what I did for a living. I broke quarter horses for a trainer, and it's just always something I've always done. I don't know what the demand around here for it is, but I've ran into a couple of people that said that it would be useful, and I believe that there will be a use for horses in the future. It may be in the form of draft horses, pulling wagons, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still useful. They're still useful for homesteading if you look at it in a way of, transportation. What if the grid does go down? You're going to have to need transportation from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the day's coming where you're going to need to be able to have someone with a way to get supplies to and from town if you needed them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and back in the old days, where we're at now, town was a trip. I mean, it was something you didn't take lightly. You basically went to town, and then the next day you came back. I mean, it wasn't be back in an afternoon type thing. I want to open it up to questions because we're about at the 15-minute mark before we head off. So open it up to questions. If you have questions, please put them in all caps so that we can address them. We see them easily on the chat. And it can be any question, just anything we have to do with us or have to do with the new homesteaders, the Woodson family. If you have questions for them or what they're looking for, just give us your question, put them in all caps, or with any about anything in the chat room. But real quick, while we're waiting on that, there's an article I saw on Off the Grid News, Survival Gardening, and it's the very best vegetables. Here, let me put it up on the screen here. The very best vegetables. Wait a minute, wrong one. There we go. There, it's on the screen. The very best vegetables to grow in an unheated greenhouse, and so I went to the list. I'm just going to read the list off real quick, so don't waste any time. And it is beets, broccoli, garlic, kale, Brussels sprouts, carrots, radishes, celery, and turnips. Leafy greens like cooler temperatures. So these things are what you would grow in the wintertime. Now, in the past, in our greenhouse, we have just grown mostly kale and some spinach. And
Brussels sprouts, we need to grow those.
I know, but I've tried. They don't grow. They just don't. I can't get them to work.
We love Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, we do. We love Brussels sprouts, and right now the only time we get them is if we get them at the store. But they are kind of hard to grow. I've tried growing them 2 years in a row, and they just did not grow well. If you have any tips on how to grow Brussels sprouts, please put them in the comments below. But anyway, good article. I put the link in the description below so you can get that. It's the very best vegetables to grow in an unheated greenhouse. Lots more to the article you might enjoy, but there's the list. Beets, broccoli, garlic, kale, Brussels sprouts, carrots, radishes, celery, and turnips. Interesting article. I thought you might like to check it out. All right, so first question. When are you going to do a video on your ponds, and the fish in them? Do you have fish in them, and what kind? Do you harvest those fish, and how are the fish in your aquaponics doing? The fish in the aquaponics are doing okay. They're kind of on hold. We're redoing some things in the aquaponics right now. The fish in the ponds, people don't realize the ponds are almost as much work as a swimming pool. Have you ever heard that homeowners with swimming pools, they say it's a lot of work? a pond is also a lot of work. I went into the extension office at our local county and asked about some things that I had some concerns on our ponds, and he sat me down and says, look, ponds are a pain in the butt, and if you're going to have a pond, just know that it's going to be an upkeep. You just got to upkeep it and do things. And so there was a number of years where our ponds weren't touched by the landowners, and so they just kind of got run down. Trees were allowed to grow up in them, which caused roots to come through the banks, and they're leaking out, and there's plant growth inside there that's going to happen all the time anyway. And so right now, there's a good amount of fish inside of our ponds, but we have the issues with vegetation buildup inside the water. And also, there's this type of worm or grub or type of larva that grows on the fish skin, on many of the fish inside of our ponds. And the way you do that, there's a life cycle. Basically, it starts off in the mouth of a bird. A bird comes to feed at the pond, usually a pelican or something like that, or a crane, and it dips its beak inside the water, and the larvae get into the water, and it has a certain amount of hours before it needs to find a host, and the host that it needs to find is a snail. And once it finds the snail host, it then transfers out into the snail host, and then it has a certain amount of hours before it finds the fish. And then the process repeats. What you do is you put what's called red ear sunfish inside your pond, and they're what they call snail crackers. And they will basically eat the snails in your pond, and that kills the cycle of this type of parasite, larva, whatever that's in the pond. And so we have that right now inside of our pond, and I haven't checked back to see what the status is lately. I look at our ponds as an emergency water source if I ever need it. That's how I look at them. So that's that. Woodson Family, are you looking to move near an American homestead?
Yeah, that would be fun. We would definitely take that.
We don't have to be at their back door, but we do like this area, somewhere in this area.
It's a good area. It's a nice area.
Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, it's a nice area out here, folks. And so we really like it. And I'm always encouraging people to move out here. Because here's the deal. Here's the reality. There are landowners out here, and they're raising their kids are either raising up to where they want to get out of here and go to the city, or they've already done that. That's what. And then you have landowners who are aging and elderly. And so, and we've talked about this before, I think. Right?
Yeah, because we've said that we don't see any second generation homesteaders who are our age.
No.
All of the homesteader second generation kids have moved to the city.
I think people are forgetting to teach their children to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, it's not being taught, and it's all very worldly. The kids are raising up, they're growing up, and they're just like, they see the bright lights of the city, and they want some of that, and so they head off to the big city, or they head off to college, and they never come home. And the elderly are basically dying here, and the kids who've made their lives off in the big city somewhere, when mom and dad die, pass away, or they put mom and dad in a nursing home, oh, there's 300 acres here. Well, all they see is dollar signs and a new toy that they can buy or something with the money. Mm-hmm. Well, people like us are happy to buy up that land, no problem. Yeah. Because a lot of it's good land. So, anyway, that's kind of my thing on it. But there's lots of good land out here. How about ducks in your pond? Wouldn't that help? This is from Catherine. I don't know if ducks would eat those snails or not. I know they wouldn't get down to all of them. I know they get to some, maybe. I don't know if they eat snails, they probably wouldn't get to all of them. But you still got to break that. From what the extension office told me, the best way to break the cycle of this is to put the shell crackers or whatever they're called, the red ear sunfish in the pond, and that will break the cycle over time. So that's all I know. Something about what is the price per acre in your area? Wheat Tree Bonsai. Hey, thanks, Wheat Tree. You're doing a great job being a moderator. Appreciate it. Thanks. What price per acre in your area? I've seen it anywhere from $11.50. We paid an acre $11.50 per acre for ours. I think is what it was. And they're seeing it anywhere from what are you seeing?
It's. I mean, we've had prices range from $1,200 up to $1,750, $1,800 an acre, and it really depends on what you're looking at. I mean, if you're looking at all woods, the price may be a little cheaper, but if you're looking at pasture land, then the price could be a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
And it really depends on what's available in that area as far as utilities.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at one section where there was no possibility of getting utilities to it, but they still wanted too much money for the land. It just wasn't worth what they were asking for it. But it just depends on where it's at and what it has to offer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's some landowners, they know that people are coming out looking to buy this land, and they think they're gonna make way more money than they ever paid for it on it, and they're just not.
No.
And so it stays for sale forever. But you move past those people, and you find people who are more reasonable and who know what the going rate is. So it's just the land here is rough. It'll grow, but it's very rough. There's a lot of rock in a lot of places, and you got to be willing to work with the soil. But if you're willing to do that, you can get good prices. It's not Iowa. So don't think you're gonna come here and grow rows and rows of corn. But but you can condition your gardens to grow good food for sure. Someone says, "Wow, those are cheap prices." Yeah, those are pretty cheap compared to most of the other parts of the country, for sure. But this is, there's what's the trade-off? Why are they so cheap? Well, there's no cell coverage out here. There's no cell phone coverage, or there's very little. It's very spotty cell tower coverage. Internet is hard to come by when it comes to DSL. Obviously, you're not getting DSL lines. Your options are going to be satellite, or nothing at all. And we talked about satellite before too. The satellite options seem to be getting better, but still, that's going to be your options. And so there's a reason why it's cheap, because a lot of people don't want to live here. There's a reason why the kids are growing up on these homesteads and they're leaving their parents or grandparents and they're moving to the cities, because there's things they can get in the cities.
Well, it's a trip to town. It's half an hour to a very small town which has no shopping. There's a Walmart.
Right.
But, if you're into that, if you want to shop, you have to drive at least an hour 15?
Hour and a half.
Hour and
if
a half.
Not more.
So there's really not much here for the younger population who is into all of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no movie theater. They used to have a bowling alley.
Theater, yeah.
They used to have a bowling alley. But see, you don't need that stuff.
Very
nowadays,
limited restaurants. We have what do we have? We have a McDonald's, a Pizza Hut.
Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, there's a couple of Mexican restaurants.
I'm just trying to think if there's any other chains. I think the only chain restaurants we have. Oh yeah, Sonic.
Subway,
yeah.
but there's not, and that's really it. You got a couple other. You have a bar and grill that's in town, new sports bar and grill. It's opened up, but that's about it. I mean, people don't want that. They want all. I mean, they go to a lot of the people are sending their kids to college. I mean, some of these landowners have money, so they send their kids to college, and it's all over. At that point, you've exposed them to all the bright lights of the city and all the things. What are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at you.
Oh.
But, I mean, the reality is that who wants to drive half an hour? I mean, because a lot of America is used to eating out.
Yes.
And who wants to drive?
Hey, we're even guilty of it.
I know, I'm preaching to the choir here. But who wants to drive half an hour to get dinner every night?
No, nobody.
They'd rather just live in the city where they can get their takeout.
The convenience. It's the convenience of being there among everything.
You expose somebody to that who's never seen it before, and they're like, "Oh, I'm in heaven." Yeah. You mean I can pick up the phone and order food and be here in 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Or I can walk out of my apartment, walk down the street, get it, and come back to my apartment and oh no.
I can go watch a movie and get the best popcorn in the world.
And you want me to come back to the country where I gotta chase raccoons out of the trash cans? No, I'm done. And so, to me that sounds like paradise, but for them, anyway, what internet do I use? We are extremely blessed that we are at the end of the DSL line for our county's phone company. And so we have DSL, but it's the least amount of DSL. I usually get about 2 megabyte download and like a 300K upload. So it's really slow. But it's better than dial-up, and it does allow me to upload videos. When I upload a video at night, and then I basically wake up in the morning and it's done. So that's kind of how it is.
It works really well for us, though, for
Yeah,
what we need.
we can use Netflix with it, So we have date night. We make some, go to Walmart and get some artisan cheese, or whatever, or some salmon or something, just something fancy, and then we'll come home and watch something on Netflix or whatever. Mm-hmm. What more do you want in life?
I don't know. What more could you want? Sounds pretty good to me.
The trade-off is, I give up a lot of the things in the city and a lot of instant gratifications of the city, but I raise my family in a wholesome environment. We raise our own food. Most of the food that we eat is raised on our homestead. We're just looking at some sheep that we have out there in the pastures that are going to be butchered in about a week or two, and that's going to put a lot of meat, in our pantry. Absolutely. For the next year. And so that's all I can't. That's what I want in life. So.
You don't have to worry about whether or not your chickens come from China.
Yeah, I know where my chickens come from. Most of them come from our chicken barn. I know where my eggs come from. They come from our chicken barn. So it's a good feeling for all that. I don't know if there's any other. Hey, listen, folks. Sorry about the video output. Here's the deal. When this is all done, you can come back, and as soon as YouTube is done processing the video, you can come back and listen to the video. YouTube is capturing all this. Even though it's breaking out for you, YouTube is capturing it, and so usually there's not a breakaway when you hit the playback. So just come back later. You can watch the show, and I know sometimes it's horrible to listen to this. It's frustrating to listen to this with all the breaks. So, but you can come back and listen to it later. So someone says ramen noodles and Netflix. You're tarnishing your image, Zach. Yeah, I'm sorry. Cat's out of the bag. I like ramen noodles, and we watch Netflix every once in a while. So
once a week,
we watch Netflix. So sue me. Yeah, okay. I'm reading some of these other things. Trust me, 27 years of teaching ballet and martial arts to kids, I have seen what society has done to the kids. Thus, one big reason I retired, I was just done with it. Yeah, I understand. How are the turkeys? So, last question of the night. How are the turkeys? They are delicious. They are delicious. We're getting ready to actually eat some more here soon.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited about that. So, that's coming up. Lots of videos coming up. Review on the Tubo Biz. And review on the distiller, all those videos coming up, and lots of good stuff this week. So stay tuned, subscribe to us if you haven't subscribed already. We really appreciate all you guys. And remember, the beehives. We're giving away beehives for all of our $10 or up patrons. And you get your name at the end of all of our videos. So really appreciate you guys and what you do for us. All right, we'll see you next time on the Homestead.